Hi there, I'm Pamela, and we're in my kitchen where I share with you some of my favorite recipes or those most requested by friends and family. Today we're going to be making an appetizer, one that is tasty and colorful and very easy to put together. The components of this appetizer are a baguette. This is a half a baguette. You can use a full one if you've got a big crowd, but this is all I need for today. Some pesto, and feel free to buy store-bought. I really like Kirkland brand from Costco, and so that's what I do. Some olive oil, some fresh ground pepper, some sea salt or kosher salt, whatever your preference, some cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes. I've got grape tomatoes here today, and some burrata cheese. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is slice our baguette. I've got my oven heated to 400 degrees. And we're going to make some crostini here with this fresh baguette and add a little bit of olive oil and a little sprinkling of salt if you like. I personally think the pesto has enough seasoning in it that I don't need to add salt today. And we're also going to salt our tomatoes. Okay, so I'm going to set these in a tray. And that will be fine. Going to add some olive oil to my dish. And I'm going to take a pastry brush and just coat one side. We're not going to brush these with a garlic clove, which is a common practice when you're making crostini, because the pesto has quite a bit of garlic in it, and I just don't think we need it. So there we go. Those are ready to be put in the oven. Put this aside. The next thing we're going to do is prepare our tomatoes. So I've got a package of grape tomatoes, and I'm simply going to cut them in half like this. And I'm going to toss them in another baking tray. You don't need to grease the tray because we're going to add olive oil and some seasoning. So I'm just going to cut all of these up and toss them in there. Be sure to wash them and dry them before you do this. We don't want any water left on them because when we bake them, we want them to, now you can bake them, it's about 20 minutes and you'll get a nice soft tomato. The skins will start to loosen and come off. I like to go beyond that a little bit because I like my oven roasted tomatoes to be a little bit caramelized, dried out just a little bit, and maybe see some black tips on the edges. But if you don't care for them done quite that much, you certainly don't have to do it that way. But just as long as they're soft and cooked, that's what we're aiming for here. So I'm just about done. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to take this olive oil that I brushed the bread with, and I'm just going to pour a couple tablespoons over my tomatoes. I'm going to add some fresh ground pepper. I've got it on a coarse grind. And then I am going to salt the tomatoes. This is another reason why I didn't add salt to my crostini, because there's salt in the pesto and we were salting the tomatoes. So now just get your hands in there and coat them with the olive oil and spread them out single layer. And then I am going to put both of these in the oven for approximately 20 minutes. And then we will take them out when the crostini is a nice golden brown and these are nicely cooked and caramelized, and we'll be back. Our crostini is out of the oven. I've toasted it for about 20 minutes. I like to leave a little bit of softness and not have it a solid crunch all the way through. You do it the way you like it. But it's toasty around the edges and on the outside, but it's still got a little moisture inside from the bread. My oven roasted tomatoes stayed in the oven a little bit longer. I had my oven at 400. When the crostini came out, I upped the temperature to 450 and left my tomatoes in for about 30 minutes. But every oven is different. So just keep checking them and pull them out when they look good to you. But they're nice and soft. They've got some little darkness around the edges, and they're cooked through, and they've become quite sweet from the cooking process. So we're ready to put everything together. Now, I want to talk to you about burrata cheese. I don't know if you're familiar with it. If you've never worked with it, you may not know what it is. You may have eaten it and not known that's what you're eating. But burrata is a fresh cheese. It's an Italian cheese made from cow's milk. And it is stored in water because it needs to maintain its shape and the moisture. And it would just completely dry out and go flat if they wrapped it the way they do other cheeses. So this is a ball of burrata cheese. This little knob here is what they tie it off with when they make it. So they've removed the tie, and I just like to dry it off a bit because it's coming out of the water, and I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to cut it open and show you what it looks like inside. Inside, the outside of the burrata is mozzarella cheese. The inside is shreds of fresh mozzarella with sweet cream. So we've got this contrast of textures, the soft, creamy inside and the firmer mozzarella on the outside, which holds it all together. So what I do is I take my crostini and I just slice off a bit of the burrata, kind of press it down a little bit if you need to cut the outer edge a little bit, because it is definitely more firm than the rest. Put that on your toast. Then I take my pesto and get 2 or 3 teaspoons and just spread it on top of the burrata. Now we're going to take about 3 tomato halves and put that right on top. And that is our appetizer. Now, I like to add a little garnish. This is fresh basil from the grocery store. I bought this in a plastic clear tub. It was already cut and harvested. You know, you can also buy them growing in a pot, which you can do as well. But this stays really nice. I've had this for about 2 weeks now. And if you wrap it up and put it in the refrigerator, it's going to rot. But I have found that when I get it home from the store, collect all the stems and take off the extra leaves that will be in the water and put it in a fresh cup of water, change the water every day, trim off the bottom. You don't need to trim the bottom off, just once when you first do it. And then sit it in water. It'll stay on your counter fresh for days, even weeks. And as you maybe can see, I've even got roots starting. So this is how I keep fresh mozzarella in the house all the time. So for a garnish, just pinch off a little leaf. And if you don't have this and you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But I think that adds the perfect touch. So I'm just going to finish off these few and put them on my platter. And you know, when you serve this, your guests may ask you, what is that soft, creamy stuff on the bottom of this? It's really good, but I don't know what it is. I've been asked that before because a lot of times people just aren't familiar with it. But yeah, it's fun to add a little information to your food when you're serving it to your friends. Okay, so I've got another little leaf. I'm going to tuck it in there, and I'm just going to finish these up, and my family's going to enjoy them. Now, if you are enjoying my videos, I'd appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up. Let me and YouTube know that you're having fun watching them. Subscribe to my channel, and if you hit the bell, YouTube will let you know when I upload my next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.